YouTube, what's good? Senju, back at it again with another video. So, for today we are talking about the global release for Talandre. Now, like everybody else, we've been keeping a keen eye on Throne and Liberty just to kind of keep up the speed and see where they were going to take us. And even though we already knew we were going to Talandre because they are mainly just catching global up with the Korean version, we still needed to see exactly what we were going to receive when Talandre drops. And I'm not going to lie to you, we are getting hit with a wave of content that I think even the veteran players like myself are going to have pretty much our entire week's schedule taken up grinding out all of this new content. So to start off, as we've stated, pretty much everything that's supposed to drop in January or was rumored to drop in January, the weapon mastery system, and then we had the solo dungeons in February, or they were rumored to drop in February per the Korean world map schedule. All of that is dropping with Talandre, which is the new map expansion on March 6th. Now, in addition to the new level cap expansion, we are also receiving, as I just said, a new level cap, which will be level 55, which will pretty much bring us up to speed with the Korean servers. Now, in addition to that, we are also getting two new arc bosses, Deluz Noah and Giant Porty. Now, I'm pretty sure I butchered that first name, but that's okay. It still sounded clean. Now, for the solo dungeons, we have zero information on this currently, but as the months and weeks come along, I'm pretty sure we're going to receive some more information, especially if Korea gets that first, which it looks like they probably will because they don't really have any prereqs that need to be done before the solo dungeons drop. So in most cases, they will receive the solo dungeons before us, and if they don't, and we all get that at a global launch, then obviously the same time that they receive information for those, we will also receive information for as well. Now, the next thing on the list that we will also be receiving is the weapon mastery tree, which we went over in the previous video. So if you need a detailed description or a brief overview of what the new weapon mastery system looks like, you can check the link in the description and it will take you to my previous video where you can go over all of the weapon mastery. However, what we will be focusing on currently is the new information, which is bringing some things that I actually did not expect to be dropping with Talandre for global because of how far behind we are behind Korea. But it looks like they're going to use this giant expansion launch as sort of a gateway to speed run us to get us as close to Korea as possible, if not a one-to-one value. So the very first thing that needs to be talked about is the new island, which is Nebula Island. Now, this is going to be essentially the Talandre version of Sarodama Island. So, here's what we know so far about Nebula Island. Nebula Island is a new inter-server activity accessible to level 55 players, meaning that in order for you to even get to this island, you do need to get to level 55 first. Once you receive your new level of level 55, which is the new cap, this island, specifically labeled Nebula Island, will be accessible through the Secret Dungeon's new tab, Lawless Zone. Players can spend up to 7 hours per week within this island, with additional time available through the Nebula Charge Stones. The island consists of a central village, the Resistance Surveillance Camp, and 6 distinct regions, including one peaceful zone entitled the Fog Forest, and 4 war zones where PvP is always enabled. Now, inside this island, anyone outside your guild and party is considered an enemy, and unlike Sarodama, if you die in Nebula Island, you will be sent back to the start zone instead of being sent back to the main zone. Now, along with that, Nebula Island will ship with 4 dynamic events as well as 2 bosses, a 24-player boss event and a 60-player boss event. And any improvements that have been made since it has already been launched in Korea, you can expect to already be carried over to this system. Now, in addition to Nebula Island, it will also bring the new artifact system. Now, these two pretty much work hand in hand, as with the launch of Nebula Island, we will also receive a way to use the new artifact system. However, here's what we know so far about the new artifact system. Artifacts can be obtained from Nebula Island and Abyss dungeons in the Talandre region. The system consists of 6 parts, 4 Talus stones, a solar stone, and a lunar stone, and each will come with unique stats and effects. There are 14 different artifact sets across 3 grades. We will be receiving 2 common sets, 4 uncommon sets, which are your green sets, and 8 rare sets, which are your blue sets, with some stats being randomly determined upon acquisition. Players can trigger set bonuses by equipping 2, 4, or 6 matching pieces from the same set. The Solar Stone provides an active skill, while the Lunar Stone will grant a passive skill when equipped, essentially unlocking a new way for you to be able to use different abilities and further enhance the diversity on your builds. This new system, launching alongside the new Mastery system, is going to prove to be pretty much a massive game changer for the meta globally, but seeing as this is already out in Korea, and in most cases, we will pretty much be receiving a one-to-one value, I pretty much expect that even though I will be coming out with my own builds from my own perspective, and other people will as well because we're on global, I highly suspect that the Korean version players will most likely already have meta setups because they're so far ahead of us and pretty much spoil the entire system and bring out the most busted builds, and most of us will just copy and paste, which that is to be expected. That's kind of what happens when you have a system that's launched in a completely different region months ahead of another half of the server getting it. So I'm still gonna have fun with the system. What I would implore though is that for those of you that do not want to be spoiled, I would probably stay away from the Korean side of the content. Not that it is a bad thing, it's just that they already have the system. So you're going to know what the meta is in that current version of the game. You're going to know exactly what's going to be busted and what's going to be garbage. And it's kind of going to spoil the experience for you because, again, even though Korea has it, it's still a new experience for all of us globally. So I'm personally going to be staying away from a lot of the Korean content so I don't get spoiled and I can experience this on my own and learn as I play, rather than knowing 6 months ahead of time, going into it and just copying and pasting my build and then throwing that out there. So in addition to the new artifact system, we will also be receiving lifestyle system changes and buffs. Now, we don't really know all of what they're going to do, but at the very base level, Talandre will launch with 24 new fish, 4 new fishing rods, and a variety of new collectibles, plus 10 new cooking recipes and foraging items. Players will also have another reason to gather ingredients now that the 5 types of elixir items, the excellent attack, defense elixirs, rare attack, defense purification elixirs, can now be cooked. So it looks like we're going to be probably offline, I'm not gonna lie to you, for like 16 hours because we're going to be receiving the island on top of the world map. We're going to be receiving new dungeons, the solo dungeons, the new 3-star dungeons, the new tier 2 gear, the new level cap, the new arc bosses. Basically everything that's been missing so far is launching on March 6th. So for those of you that are already struggling for space on your PC, I would highly implore that you go ahead and do a quick space clearing section and make some space because you're going to need a lot of space for Talandre. I will be going in depth on each one of these topics down the line in the coming weeks as we receive more information, and I will definitely delve into some of the 3-star dungeons as well as obviously all of these new systems and get as much information as I can and do more in-depth dives. However, this is just a brief overview and this is what we're going to be getting. So everything that everybody wanted so far is dropping on March 6th as far as we know, and unless it gets delayed, which I highly doubt it will, I will see you guys on March 6th with a whole bunch of content for Talandre. Catch you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you're not part of the community already. Take it easy.